Good evening, everybody! Welcome to round 3 of International Sim Racing Organization's 1991 F1 Series, this time coming to you from San Marino. Cars are finishing their qualifying session. We'll have a look at the lineup in just a moment. Good evening, everybody! And I'm joined in the booth by Alberto Ibañez. Alberto, good evening.
Good evening, Jason. Good evening, everybody. Pleased to be here as usual.
So let's have a look at where everybody is with regard to qualifying. It appears that Pascal Mikola is going to be on the pole once again, unless some crazy development occurs. David Jakes is currently in second, and Grant Ridal is in third. It's very significant that we have Jakes and Ridal second and third, because this race marks the introduction of the new Brabham BT60Y. It's a radical design, but probably not the best. Your thoughts on this car, Alberto?
Well, at least it seems to have worked quite well for the current Brabham drivers. Yes, this was a car that wasn't really successful. I mean, Brabham at this point, it was a team with a lot of history, but they were a bit clueless. They were looking for anything that would help them get back to the top, and they were trying really radical things. The car certainly didn't do as well in real life as it has done so far in the hands of our top drivers, David Jakes and Grant Ridal.
Yeah, Grant in particular has had very, very bad luck in this series in the first two rounds. Hopefully he's going to be able to turn that around going into round number 3 here at San Marino. Let's take a look briefly at the point standings going into today's race. And here we have this is kind of an odd point standings, because right now we have Richard Coxon and Dave Miller tied at the top for the lead with 10 points. Brian Janik and David Jakes are tied for third with 6 points. And then Richard Wilkes is in 5th with 5 points. In the constructors' standings, Scuderia Italia and Cannon Williams team are tied at the top with 10 points. The minority team has 9 points. Motor Racing Developments, which is the official name of the Brabham team, has 6 points. And Leighton House Racing has 5 points. The track itself for today, let's go to the map. Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari. This is the Imola circuit, a circuit that is very quick but has lots of chicanes throughout, a circuit that really tests a driver's patience and his or her focus, I would say, and just maintaining mental concentration.
Well, this is a track that has certainly its own personality. It's one of the old tracks, not like the modern German Hermann Tilke design tracks. And well, it was already a bit spoiled with chicanes, though you can see there's still, after the start-finish line, a big sweeping turn to the left, which ends in a very nice combination to the right, and then a hairpin. This large part of the circuit, this long part, was actually spoiled with a chicane years later, because this is the place where Ayrton Senna would unfortunately die in 1994. That's a famous, I think, Tamburello corner. And at this point, it was still looking like in the old days, and it was a very fast and sweeping circuit. It's a power track. The cars that have a good amount of engine power here are going to have a bit of an advantage, and it isn't as stalling to the tires as Interlagos was, because if you look at the map, there are certainly not a lot of high-speed corners. I mean, the long sweeping left-hander after the straight it doesn't really put a lot of load on the tires. And then it's basically slow turns, which are not really so demanding. They don't increase the tire temperature so much. But the track has a flow, it can't deny it. It's a very quick track, and it's a bit of a mixed blessing, because on one hand it's a bit more relaxing because you go fast for longer amount of times, and it would seem that it gives you better opportunities for overtaking. However, that's not necessarily the case, because if you look carefully at it, First of all, it's a track that it's quite narrow by modern standards. So even if you can get close to a car for overtaking or side by side, you won't be really having as much real estate to make the move there. And then there are many parts that are interrupted by these chicanes or slow corners, so it's not easy to gain enough momentum to get enough distance to really to get a run on the car in front to make it stick then in an overtaking maneuver. So overtaking is possible, certainly, but it's not going to be as easy as one would think at first when looking at the track.
All right, so we got about 29 minutes to go here in the session. I assume that the drivers are being briefed right now because nobody is actually on track at this point.
Yeah, after the qualifying session, everybody is going to the garage to switch from qualifying to race tires.
Oh, I see. That's right.
Yes, and that's why everybody's leaving now for the garage, and we'll be back in a moment.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And then they will, of course, besides the briefing, try to get a bit of track time on the heavy fuel load and the race tires.
All right. Well, we do have Tiago Canola going onto the track here, so we may have a chance to get a nice view of the circuit. Tiago, of course, as we mentioned, joining us from Japan. He's up at like 2:30 in the morning where he's at in order to join us. And if that isn't dedication, I don't know what is. He's driving the Lotus, which I don't believe is any upgrades for this particular race, but they will eventually be getting upgrades. The staccato image you're seeing now is from drivers entering the circuit. As the grid becomes populated, that should die down. So we'll let Tiago head around the circuit here and hopefully get a good, clean, full lap with him. This is a driver and car pairing that, I don't know, we'll see what it produces, because Tiago's an excellent driver, but there's only so much you can do with this car, I would think.
Yes, Lotus is certainly a mythical team, but by 1991 was only a pale shadow of what it once was. So you shouldn't expect this car to be on the podium even if there is a quality driver like Tiago at the helm.
Okay, so Tiago's coming through the last two corners here before the final chicane. The chicane starts out as like a very quick whip to the right, and then the second turn that takes you back onto the main straight. Oh, and of course he's going to the pits. my bad luck with these onboard laps continues. Let's see if there anybody else who's almost ready to start a lap on circuit. It does not appear
Brian
so.
Janik, I think, is on.
Oh, Dave Miller. Dave Miller, the winner of the last race. He is about to start a lap, so we'll stay with him. In the Williams Renault, Dave was the winner of the Brazilian Grand Prix 2 weeks ago. Here he comes.
Yes.
Through this chicane, he's going to start a lap for us. Coming off the final turn, there's the grid, and you see the lights ahead of him. Heading through the famous Tamburello corner, or infamous Tamburello corner, I should say. A very, very quick left-hand turn, and then Villeneuve curve, the right-hander that leads to the acute hairpin Tosa.
This is a very complicated braking zone because you barely can put the car straight to be able to brake as hard as the corner deserves.
All right, now heading up a short hill, and then there's this really quick whip back to the left. Very easy to drive over the limit here.
Yes, you don't have a clear view of the corners, so it's easy to get past your braking point.
This is a place right here where I think we'll see a lot of mistakes this chicane, because if you're not very precise on entry, you see even there with all the superiority of the Williams, Dave Miller was having to fight the back end. Now another quick chicane, right, left, and now we're heading downhill to the two left-hand bends that end the circuit. Sweeping to the right slightly, and you can also run offline here very easily if you're not careful.
Yes,
I believe that happened.
The problem is the turn that we have mentioned before, that you are coming out of the corner and you barely have the time to set the car properly for the braking. Here he's
here
coming to the final chicane. This is a very slow one, and it's very misleading because it actually sweeps to the back before it allows you to go into the main straight where he's heading now. And now
let's go for one more lap with Dave since we got him here. Into Tamburello. According to the speedometer there, he's doing about 180 miles per hour here. 6th gear. Downshifting now for Tosa. 2nd gear. About 60 miles an hour here. Now up through the gears. 3rd. 4th. 5th. Over the rise here. Downshifting to 3rd for this left-hander. Now he comes down to this highly technical chicane. Yeah, you want to be very careful here because the curbs are actually quite tall.
Yes, and on the last part of it you want to be accelerating on the exit, but you're still turning, so it's something that can easily upset the car.
Well, that's interesting. What happened there?
I think he either lagged or he got disconnected.
Huh, weird. Oh, the server has been restarted. Okay.
Yes, because the warm-up was too quick. They were, too long. So it's about to be cut short so that people can line up for the grid and the proper race start.
I see. Well, with that being the case, we should probably get our commercial break out of the way so that we can bring you uninterrupted coverage of this race. This is one of those rare moments where it's kind of odd because the track is repopulating cars. There we go. All right. So we're gonna pause for our commercial break, and we'll be right back after these messages. Stay with us.
Introducing the Bud Light Jaguar Racing Team. Catch it this season. How do we get the truck back? Throw it in reverse. Let's go.
Last year, while the other guys were fighting over truck sales supremacy, the roof fell in. Dodge ranked highest of any full-size pickup in the J.D. Power survey of customer satisfaction. So this year, while the other guys were fighting again, deja vu. Dodge Ram's ranked highest for the 2nd year in a row, while sporting the best powertrain protection of any truck around.
Now save up to $43.70 on select trucks at the biggest Dodge truck sale ever.
In 1989, the Honda Accord was the best-selling car in America. Let us repeat that. In 1990, the Honda Accord was the best-selling car in America. Thank you.
If I had a Z, it'd be silver. No, black. And I'd take it to a racetrack. Hold it. Nah, drive it cross country. That's what I'd do. Wait, Germany. Yeah, now that'd be epic. Running a Z flat out on the Autobahn. Too bad you can't drive to Europe.
If I could afford a sports sedan, the road would belong to me. Bob, I'd have one of those multi-valve engines, independent suspension, and of course, a spoiler on the back. Yeah, if I could afford a sports sedan, life would be a cruise.
Oh, it's you, Bob.
Introducing the new Nissan Sentra SER, because rich guys shouldn't have all the fun.
I never thought I'd ever need glasses, or that I'd ever be reading financial journals. And I never thought I'd drive anything from an American car company. Times change. You change.
New systems, new standards, new thinking, new times. Mercury Tracer. It's built to change your mind. All this and the quality of a Mercury.
And we're back. And just in time, too, because the cars are going onto the track for their warm-up session. A whole bunch of them bolted out of the pits at once, Alberto.
Yeah, everybody wants to get on the track things.
Yep. Pre-race jitters, always very powerful. So, while we have some time, let's go through a bunch of things that we want to talk about before the race. We got about 19 minutes. We talked about the track map already. Let's talk about what's coming up soon here at ISO. This Wednesday, we go back Tin Top Racing. Rounds 5 and 6 of 16 for the 1997 Australian Super Touring Championship. Calder Park Raceway is the venue. Wednesday, February 12th. I believe you're taking part, Alberto?
Yes, I will do. It's always fun to go there banging wheels with the BMW.
Nice. All right, so that's this coming Wednesday. And then this weekend, we go back. IndyCar Racing. It's the California 500 qualification heats. This will be round 2 out of 13. Points paying race for the split field. It'll be an unusual format, but should produce very interesting racing. That's Sunday, February 16th. The first heat will be at 2000 hours CET. I believe that will be broadcast. And then the following Sunday, it's round 3, and you can probably guess what it is. It's the California 500, the first jewel in the USAC Triple Crown. Sunday, February 23rd. Check the forum for the specific schedule. I'm guessing the green flag would be at 2000 CET, but there may be a special 500-mile schedule. We'll see. So lots of fun stuff to look forward to, Alberto.
Yeah, certainly. I'm looking forward to racing again the USAC cars, and I tell you, at some point, even if when we did the calendar, that's how the spacing went better, but at some point you really gotta wonder, man, why didn't I pack these races together so that we could race them more often? It's like the wait is killing me.
I know, it's a long wait between races. Here we get a good look at David Jakes in the Brabham. This is the brand new BT60Y. Very different from the previous car, both in terms of design and color scheme. So it'll be interesting to see if David can capitalize on the great finish he had in the previous race. And more to the point, how his teammate Grant Riddall is going to do. Because as we mentioned, he's had a really rough go of it to start with, so hopefully he can bounce back. Another driver to pay close attention to is Juha Boss, starting to come to grips with the McLaren, I think. McLaren for this race does have some upgrades. The mid-range torque of the Honda engine was improved, and that should help. That should definitely help Juha on this circuit. Your son Little Al is driving the other McLaren, and I guess he's been having schoolwork taking priority over actually driving the McLaren, but I don't know, maybe that in a way will help him. It'll take some of the pressure off and he'll be able to focus on just an overall good drive. What do you think?
Yeah, he had a lot of a very busy real life week, so he couldn't train a lot for this, but he was looking forward to the race. And I must say, this is a McLaren track actually, because Interlagos was a tire eater for the McLaren. They had to go there for the hard tires when other cars were able to go with mediums or even softs if they were doing a shorter stint. But in this case, this, as we said, is not too tolling track on the tires, and the McLaren, the Honda power can really be put here to good show. And because they don't have the concern about the tires, that should be quite competitive here, especially in the case of Juha. Alberto doesn't have as much practice, but well, anything can happen in the race. And once everybody is on the heavy fuel and on the normal tires, then I think that we will be seeing things are quite different than what they look like in the qualifying session.
Yeah, he seems to be, we're watching him now on the screen, he seems to be taking it very conservatively. And that may end up working well for him because this is a track that demands lots of concentration, and there will undoubtedly be accidents from people who just flat out have a brain, drop. If not early on, then later on for sure. So,
there's many places in this track where you can actually maybe not have a terminal accident, but for sure exit the track and lose a lot of positions and maybe your options in the race. And I'd like to talk also about someone else that has been there quietly sitting in the third or fourth position. Yeah. He qualified third, and that's Gabriele Del Piccolo, who has been put into a very good use at Jordan Ford. I mean, the Ford is not exactly the most powered unit here, but Gabriele has been doing a really good driving here. And it's a guy who, I mean, he wasn't in the spotlight in all the previous races, but he has been there and he has been scoring points. And Formula One with only 6 points paying positions is something that, well, it can easily happen that he's there at the end of the championship, because if he keeps being constant and scoring, it could very well happen that with some strikes of luck where he gets even more points, as if races that have big attrition like Monaco, well, we should keep him certainly on the watch.
The other thing about Gabriel is that he's bounced back in the first 2 races from incidents, multiple incidents in fact, both at Phoenix and at Interlagos, and he still finished very good. So he has the ability to rebound from unexpected things in the race.
Yeah, he's a very quick driver, certainly.
Quick, and he also doesn't get flustered. So I think those combined, I think he's could have really good results with the Jordan. And like a lot of cars, the Jordan will have upgrades during the year. So, he's one to watch for sure.
Yeah, don't forget, this is the car that won David Jack's championship in 2017.
That's true. Yeah, so in the right hands, it can be very good. Real quickly, we should talk about the trivia question for this race. Trivia question this time around is, which driver scored which driver scored the first podium finish of his career in the 1991 San Marino Grand Prix? Was it A, J.J. Lehto, B, Mika Hakkinen, or C, Julian Bailey? We will have the answer later on in the broadcast. So about 12 minutes to go here. Other cars that we can talk about that have changed. We talked about the McLaren. We talked about the Brabham. Another car that has changed would be the Ferrari. Oh, this is rather embarrassing. We cut to the Ferrari right when it's off track. This is the 642/2, which has improved side pod shape to improve airflow consistency to the rear wing, and apparently it has an improved under tray. I say that as Mike Olsen runs through the grass. So, but despite the image that you're seeing on your screen, I'm told that this is an improved Ferrari. So, we also have, for the first time in this series, a footwork on the grid in the hands of Simon Wattman. And this is the 1991 car that is adapted to fit the V12 Porsche engine.
Yeah, this graceful Porsche engine that everybody wants to forget about.
Oh, goodness. Even more than the IndyCar engine?
I think so. At some points, I start to think that they did all the IndyCar embarrassment just to forget about this and make like a smoke carton.
My goodness.
No, I mean, it was IndyCar came first, and this is 91. The IndyCar engine that was in between 88 and 90, if I remember correctly. But this was an engine that was really, really unsuccessful. I mean, Porsche had all the experience of the world from sports car racing. They had been like absolutely dominant there, and they had been doing beautiful job there with the TAC Porsche engines and the McLarens that won with Alain Prost the championships in the early 80s. So when they decided to go back Formula One racing like this, everybody was like, "Oh man, it's Porsche back. They will be dominated." But I mean, it's a very sad and long story what happened with this engine, which was it never lived up to the promise. It was too heavy. It started to hike in the car, absolutely destroying the handling and the center of gravity, and it lacked the power that it promised. So, well, it didn't last for too long, and it was something that I know the Porsche engineers and the Porsche historians want to forget about.
Well, we'll move on then from the Porsche. The other new car that's being shown here, and it's in the hands of Mick Chapman on track right now, the Benetton B191. This is their 1991 vehicle. The most noticeable difference between this and the B190 is that it has the elevated nose. And this is something that you also see on the Tyrrell. And this is a look that would come to be defining a lot of cars in the 1990s, but right now it's kind of in its infancy.
Yes, it did. All this exercise was for the main purpose of allowing a bigger amount of air to get into the diffuser that was down at the bottom of the car. You can see the lip, the edge of the diffuser in the front, and you can see the other part that is right below the rear wing. That's the exit of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a certainly very successful design that lived up into the 2000s, when you can see up to 2001, I think, was the last generation of the cars with the raised nose. And it even went across the pond to the Indy cars, because if you remember, there was that famous Penske, the PC27, I think it was, the car that was used between 98 and 99, that was designed with a raised nose. It was a very unusual. It wasn't very successful, though it was in part because of the weak engine and the Goodyear tires that were not in its prime then. But Alan Ser Jr., who was the driver, said it was by far the best Indy car that he has driven in his career. He loved it, absolutely.
All right, so I don't believe, let me scroll through here. I'm looking for Anders Nilsson. Yeah, here he is, driving the Ligier Lamborghini. This is still the JS35, but it has a bigger airbox for more ram effect and more power. I would venture to say that it is still a pig to drive.
Well, it's not the greatest chassis in the world, and it isn't the most powerful engine either, but it's really good sounding.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that doesn't count for points in the race. We wish it did. Actually, it's funny. Speaking of noise, I've been watching, just for fun, early 1990s IMSA GTP races. One of the ones I watched was in Del Mar, in a California, in a street setting, and apparently the locals were complaining about the noise of the cars, so they had a noise sensor by the side of the course, which was really kind of weird to put it that close to the course and have that judge the noise of the cars, because if they wanted to have an accurate setting of like how, if they were hitting a certain amount, they should have put the noise sensor out at one of the locals' houses to see what it would be. And then, mysteriously, during the race, one of the cars ran into the noise sensor and knocked it out of commission, so they couldn't sense the car's noise anymore. I'm sure that was a complete coincidence. But,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they were complaining about those cars that had normally turbochargers and very muffled engines because of that.
I know.
They should have heard one of these Formula Ones from the 90s that were like going like 50,000 RPM. With an absolutely terrible amount of noise.
One thing that I'd like to point out, and you can see it offline here, there's a lot of marbles. And I spoke to Richard Coxon before we went on the air, and he was quite quick to point out that offline it is very slippery. So, and that this is going to be a constant problem during the race. So people are going to have to be very careful when they're overtaking, because the car's not going to have the grip that they expect it would have offline. The other thing they're going to have to watch out for is when they're being lapped, or if they're lapping cars, to not put themselves in undue peril. It's very easy to do. So one of the things to think about during this race.
Yes,
Richard,
those marbles that are those black dots that you can see outside of the racing line. That's
yeah,
dirt.
you can see them pretty clear.
Yes, and those come from those are actually pieces of the tire rubber that are absolutely ripped off because of the tension that the tires suffer, and they go there and they accumulate outside of the part where the tires are where the cars are actually driving, and picking them on the hot tires and taking them. So it becomes very slippery when you go over those things.
I asked Richard too if we were to expect any tire stops here, and he said that we're probably going to see one from everybody. And surprisingly enough, this is a track that does not demand too much from the tires. I mean, you could obviously you're thinking about as we watch Anders Nilsson do a practice start. You would think that a place where you'd get a great deal of strain in the tire would be hard braking at Tosa, but Richard was quick to point out that the car had been at speed for a bit, so the temperature goes down in the tires before you get there. He said that the places where you're going to have the most strain in the tires would be in high-speed turns like probably Tamburello, and the turn that comes after Tosa, the really quick left-hander.
Yes, we already mentioned when describing the track that this is basically a set of high-speed areas interrupted by chicanes. It's a bit, I mean, it's different, but it's a bit the Hockenheim style, if you see what I mean. So it's, yeah, indeed, the only quick corner where you are using all the downforce that you can get and putting stress on the tires is Tamburello. But it's a very quick corner in that it goes away very quickly, and then you get to the opposite side before setting up for the brake, and as Richard says, the tires don't really get that much of a stress. So it wouldn't surprise me that some people try to do the race on hard tires and never stop. So we'll be watching for that, but well, in any case, this is a race that will last. Let me check, 61 laps. So whoever is stopping around lap 30, whoever is stopping will be doing so around lap 30. And if you don't see people stop there, then I guess someone will be trying that gamble of doing it without any stops at all on the single tires.
We're watching right now Mike Olsen driving his Ferrari. It's worth mentioning historically that this was probably a race that the Ferrari team would like to forget. Because not only did Alain Prost not make it to the starting grid because he spun off in wet conditions on the reconnaissance lap, Jean Alesi was out of the race 3 laps in when he tried an overtaking maneuver at the towards the end of the lap 3, ran off the circuit and into a tire barrier. And as you might imagine, the Tifosi were not impressed. They started streaming out of the track, and by the time the race was half over, most people had gone from the circuit. So, historically, not a good day for Il Commendatore and his team, but we'll see if the ISO version is better.
Well, Mike also seems to be having lots of difficulties today. He's continuously going off the track, and I mean, he certainly doesn't look comfortable here.
Well, I mean, this may be the first time he's really getting used to the car with full tanks. I mean, you know, you practice. That's probably one of the most the easiest ways to tell the difference between a driver who's mature and a driver who's not really experienced is if they spend all their time hot lapping and they haven't done any time on the on full tanks, because the car behaves very differently on full tanks than it does on empty tanks, and you're clearly not using a full tank when you qualify the car. So, you know, it's a very different kettle of fish when you're driving with a full tank, and if you don't take the time to get used to that, it could really hurt you in the race.
Well, and in line with what you're saying, if the lap times that we are seeing here in the warm-up is any indication, look who is on top. That's
Gabriel Del Piccolo. Wow.
And not just on top, I mean by more than 1 second.
That is incredible. You're right. 1:36.89 to David Jakes' 1:31.967.
So with 1 minute to go, I think we should start up with the bets, Jason.
All right. So who do you think is going to win this race, Alberto?
Well, at this point, I have certainly three favorites, which are David
Okay.
Jacks, that's the safe bet, Richard Coxon, because he always seemed to be there in the end, and Gabriele Del Piccolo. And, well, just why not, for the hell of it? I'm going to go for Gabriele. I would really like to see him win one.
Well, the drivers that I'm watching are Richard Coxon, David Miller, and Juha Boss, actually. I think Juha might have a chance to do well here, and I think I'm going to go Richard Coxon again for the win, simply because I think this is the kind of a circuit that will demand the kind of focus and the kind of discipline that he brings to the table. So, but, your pick of Gabrielle is an interesting one, and you may prove to be right in that one. We'll see. The clock is at zeros. So we're going to be going to the race session momentarily. Everyone get buckled in. Round 3 of our 1991 F1 series is about to begin at International Sim Racing Organization. We'd like to welcome everybody who's watching on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. We hope that you'll enjoy today's race. There we go. 61 laps on the board. 2 hours maximum time. San Marino Grand Prix is about to begin. And I don't care if it's your first run in these cars or you've done this several times. When you take that grid and you know there's no turning back, it's quite the butterflies. I don't know about you, but they're always there.
Oh yes, they do. And not just because of being there with your responsibility of making a good start and not harming anybody, but it's that idea that you always have in the back of your mind that these things are so quick that you never know if you're going to be able to react to anything they do. And in fact, what real drivers do, the quality drivers do, is never to react to this, but actually to predict what they will be doing. And
Yes.
if they guess right, everything works. And if they fail, everything goes south quickly.
And there we go. We're on the parade lap. So, on the pole is Pascal Mikola in the Tyrrell Honda 020. And alongside, in the brand new Brabham, is David Jakes. Next row is Grant Ridal in the second Brabham. Gabriele Del Piccolo starts fourth. I'll be really interested to see how he gets off the line based on what you've been saying about his performance in the warm-up. Fifth is Juha Boss, McLaren Honda. Sixth, Richard Coxon. He's starting a bit further up the grid than we've seen him in previous races. Seventh is Brian Janik. He put in a lot of time on the server this week, so I would think that we should, maybe we were in error not mentioning him. Maybe he'll have an excellent race. Eighth is Dave Miller, winner of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Ninth is David Saber, another driver who's had really bad luck in the opening races here. We'll see if he can improve that in his Ferrari. 10th is little Al in the other McLaren. 11th is Anders Nilsson, moving to the, I believe he was driving a AGS previously. Am I in error saying that? I can't remember.
Yes, and he is now there.
He's now with the Ligier team, driving Eric Comas's Ligier JS35. David Yunt is starting in 12th. 13th is Ray Ridal. 14th, Mick Chapman in the new B191 Benetton. 15th, Victor Alcacer. 16th, Bruno Chacon in the other Williams Renault. 17th, Mike Olson. That's a good starting position for him based on previous races that he's done. 18th is Adam Hackman. 19th is Tim Hill. 20th, Timo Vermeers in a Lotus. 21st, Richard Wilkes. That's a bit of a surprise in the Leighton House Ilmore. 22nd, without a front wing, my goodness, is Tiago Canola. That's not good. 23rd is Simon Watman driving the Footwork Porsche. 24th, and I believe the last car in the grid, is Jakob Fredriksson in a LaRousse Ford.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic position for him, but he arrived late to the qualifying and couldn't put a lap. Very uncharacteristic today also for David John to be there in the middle of the grid, but then again I know that, well, that's what he has told me, he isn't at all happy with this setup. And I have to say that I see that his mind is not too much focused in this series anyway, because he has been other things going on, so getting a bit distracted is not exactly the best recipe for success here. But we'll see, because you can never discount him in the race. I mean, he's the usual guy who starts from sometimes nowhere, and then towards the end of the race he's up there. So we'll see how it goes. Everybody now moving to the positions in the grid, very tense moments, very complicated. You can see here with the car side by side how narrow this track is compared to
It is,
others.
yes. You got tarmac there on the left and the right.
Yes, and the turn one will be really, really complicated. So everybody should be taking it easy, because the cars we've seen already, Thiago lost the front wing there. I mean, there has been already
All right.
contact on the
We're
warm-up
going
lap.
we've got starters orders. Stand by. And the race is underway. Peeling off the grid is Pascal Mikola, but look who's got a really good start here. It looks like, yes, David Jakes is alongside and through into the lead, but he's on that clag on the outside. Can he hold on? Yes, he does. David Jakes is in the lead, but here comes Pascal Mikola on the outside to Villeneuve. Will he be able to? Oh, he gets onto the grass as they go into Tosa. No, he cannot get on the inside. David Jakes leads. Pascal Mikola is in second. And it appears that Gabriel Del Piccolo is third in the Jordan. Yes, he is. Juha Boss is in fourth place. So there you go. An excellent start from David Jakes as he goes up into the lead.
Anders Nilsson, I think he stole the car because
Oh,
he's
no.
now in the pits, but there's no apparent damage. There is also Rai Vidal without a front wing that was backlashed.
Oh, my
I think
goodness.
that the car had a slow start and he hit it from behind and lost the front wing there. We should be seeing the reply of the start.
Well,
anyway, the cars are now snaking their way through the rear part of the track and are coming now to the final part towards the end of the first lap.
So Pascal is tucked up behind David Jakes here. Yes, Anders Nielsen's a DNF already, I'm afraid. Heading through the last chicane here, we'll get a good look at all the cars as they're coming through to complete lap number one.
And I guess that Rai Vidal and Thiago Canola both will be entering the pits.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they need both a front wing. And Pascal Mikula is trying to move there on David Jakes on the outside. Will
Yes,
it
he
work?
is.
Oh, he's on the marbles. Look at the car move.
Oh goodness, look out. Yeah, you can see that the marbles are there. Another risky move here into the marbles by no, he just cannot get alongside. Meanwhile, Del Piccolo under attack from Juha Boss. And you can see that Dave Miller is behind this group in fifth place, and Richard Coxon is slowly starting to assert himself back there.
David Sauer doing fine there in seventh position. It was great to see that Ferrari there. He
Yes.
has been, I think, having a bit better luck here in the start than in previous situations.
Yeah, he's got Grant Ridall right behind him, and he's being pursued by Brian Janik.
And look at Richard Wicks. He's now in 12th.
Well, this is going to be an interesting series of opening laps because we got some people in positions that they're not accustomed to being. Grant Ridall looks like he's had a better start, so we'll see how that pans out for him. Oh, he almost got his nose chopped off there by David Saber. Not the best place to try a pass there, but looks like he's settling in pretty good.
Rai Vidal is back on track with the front wing, which is good to see. Same goes for Thiago Canola. They are back into the race.
They're going to get lapped very quickly by the field. Looking on board now from Pascal Mikola as we start lap 3 out of 61. He's got a little bit of space now between himself and David Jakes. Although, my goodness, I think this might say something about not only the power of the Honda, but also the wings that he's setting, and Pascal Mikola goes up into the lead.
Nice.
David Jakes back down to second place.
Nice move there by Pascal. He was risking it because of the marbles, but he executed the maneuver perfectly. And now it's a matter of trying to see if David Jakes will be happy with staying behind and both getting away from the rest of the field, or if he will be trying to get his position back. I guess he will be watching what Pascal does for a while, and depending on the rhythm that he has and the differences that he sees opening or closing with the cars behind, he will then take a decision.
Oh, goodness! Pascal's made a mistake. He hit the curb, has run off the track. He goes down to second place. Oh, goodness. Bit of a gift there for David Jakes, but the good news is that it didn't seem to cost Pascal too much. Oh, and a similar... my goodness, looks like Gabriel Del Piccolo's made a mistake. He ran wide at the end of the straight there, and now he's got Juha all over him, and it looks like Dave Miller wants to pop in here too. So, my goodness, there's a great deal of zaniness going on here.
Well, I can tell you that even if Gabriel has a somehow decent chassis and there's his driving abilities, that Ford V8 power that he has right behind him is no match for the Honda power in the McLaren or for the Renault power on the Williams. So if there's a position that is uncomfortable to be now with a poor Ford, that's having a Williams and a McLaren behind you.
Well, the other driver that's trying to take advantage here is Richard Coxon. He's in 6th. And he's closing rapidly on this group.
To try anything now. He's just giving them enough room, and he will be waiting for any error to happen, at least for now.
So, Gabriel is, he managed to hold his own after that incident, or not really an incident, but a...
Yeah, and there's Little Al, Jacob Fredriksson and Mick Chapman battling out also for 12th position. Jacob just overtook Mick Chapman.
And Richard Wilkes is up to 10th now, having just overtaken David Young. Yeah, David doesn't seem very comfortable here. Little Al is down to 14th after starting 10th, I believe. So, yes,
yeah,
so
he
he's...
told me he was trying to do a safe start and not get damaged or in anybody's way, and he was okay with losing whatever positions as long as it was safe, and at least he seems to have achieved it.
Coxon is looking to overtake Dave Miller here. He's alongside him now. We're trying to be alongside him, but there's the superiority of the Williams Renault power plant, as here comes Grant Riddall by him. So Coxon drops to 7th place.
Oh, and Mike Olson is in the pits. I'm not sure.
Oh, goodness, look at Grant Riddall on the grass here trying to overtake Dave Miller. Dave Miller still on the inside. My goodness, excellent racing. Dave Miller manages to hold off Grant Riddall, but here comes, my goodness, Richard Coxon trying to get alongside Grant, but you can see very clearly how, you make an attempt to overtake here, and if it doesn't pan out, you can find yourself in big trouble.
There's also Juha Boss trying to get past Gabriele Piccolo now.
Yes, he's back up close with him again. We're working lap number 5 now at a 61. Oh, yes, he's very close here. He's got to be careful. He doesn't want to run into the back of Del Piccolo.
Well, if this track is narrow enough, the marbles make it even narrower, so that's really hampering people a lot in the overtaking. But that's also something that benefits a lot those who have an underpowered car, because if they know their job well, they can be blocking and defending the position a lot, and Gabriel Del Piccolo is doing it beautifully.
So here they come into that final chicane again. Juha definitely seems to be held up a bit here by Gabriel. And he's probably going to have a really excellent shot here coming into Tosa at the end of this long flat-out run. We'll see if he can get it done.
Yeah, but look how Juha is very hesitant to get into the marbles there.
Yeah, he does. Well, he's on the outside here going into Villeneuve. I mean, that's where you got to be if you want to set it up. No, he backs out of it. Yeah, he's being careful. He doesn't want to throw the race away this early.
No, he's just showing himself and trying to make Gabriele go, change lanes, or make any kind of error, but it's happening. Wow, and Victor Alcocer and Timo Vermeers having their own scrape. There goes Victor past. Oh, and Mike Olson did not finish. I'm not sure what happened there, but that Ferrari had problems. Yeah, like we said, he has not been comfortable all the time in this weekend.
Well, the faucet cannot be on all the time. Some weekends are just not good weekends. And to your point about little Al, the commitment level that he had to have in this series, if you're not willing to commit to this series and give it all of your effort, it's very hard to compete because these are very, very difficult cars to drive.
Oh, and here's a small update for you all. Poor Anders Nilsson, now that's really bad luck. Engine went hot on the grid and blowed out.
Oh, no. Well, we do know that the Lamborghini engine's prone to that. Meanwhile, here's Juha trying to overtake Del Piccolo again as they come down to Tosa. He might have a shot here. Nope. But if he keeps pushing, he might get through. He definitely wants to get by because he's losing all kinds of time to the leaders. I'm sure he's thinking about that as he's trying to get by. Oh, look at that. He finally manages to get it done. He sneaks through at the chicane, and now Dave Miller is going to be coming up and trying to get by Gabriel Del Piccolo. And he might get it done here. Nope. Just not enough room coming into that chicane. It must be ultra tempting.
Yes, and it's a very delicate situation because you want to get by, you know that you have the power and the means to do it, but it's so risky, especially with these cars. If there's any small amount of damage, it can completely unbalance the car, and then you're off to the pits for repairs, and then your race is over.
Meanwhile, Pascal Mikkel is right up with the leader again, and he doesn't want to stay in second, it looks like. Putting some serious pressure. On the outside, going into Villeneuve again. He might have the momentum here. He's about halfway alongside, but David Jakes looks like he's going to hold him off. Yeah. David Jakes stays in first place. And I'll tell you what, this is a very touchy situation because we know they're probably going to be making one tire stop. We know that Pascal's instincts as a driver are to attack.
Oh, and there's Little Al also with David John, about to pass him now on power. Though I think that David slowed down and let him pass. David's really uncomfortable today with the car. I can see it weaving around a lot. And he's not in his usual pace, and well, whatever, the track, the setup, or the circumstances, but he isn't the usual David John that we know.
Well, he may be able to adjust his driving along the way and get better. We'll see.
Maybe because we've already mentioned this. The cars are doing full tank stints here. There is no refueling during this race, and they change a lot, but I mean a lot in the behavior during the whole race. So it could very well happen that a car that is not competitive at the beginning, if it's set up for that, is really quick towards the end. And especially if they've planned some kind of tire strategy or whatever. In any case, it's not working for him now. And Little Al is now on the move to try to catch up with Jakob Fredriksson, because for him it has been, I think, the opposite, and he's now more comfortable than ever with the car.
So Pascal's dropped a little bit back from the leader. Probably taking a breather, making sure that he doesn't burn his tires at this early juncture, as we're about coming up to being about 1/6 of the way through the race. And there's a little bit of a reprieve, too, for Juha, as Gabriel has dropped back a bit. But Coxon is starting to put some pressure on Dave Miller in the Williams Renault.
Yes, and remember, Coxon is right now 6th with this. That's the last points-paying position in this situation.
Yep.
No pressure for him yet from behind, but Grand Prix is not too far away, 2 seconds behind.
Really too bad, though, for Ray Radal, the teammate of Richard Coxon, because as Richard makes a very uncharacteristic flub there, taking one tire off the curb. But Ray is another guy who's been having bad luck. And if I remember correctly, he lost his front wing in the other race, too, in Brazil. So his front wings just can't seem to stay on right now.
Yeah, starting there in the middle of the pack is always a risky proposition with these cars, and we've seen that many times. That the real risk here is that someone stalls on the grid that doesn't get away quick enough. You have all seen the bouts of smoke that came out of the cars when starting, so visibility is not the best, and you can, I mean, these are cars that go, oh, Pascal Mikula and David Jacks.
Oh, goodness, there he goes. Yes, Pascal Mikula gets through.
And I think it would be fair to return the position now because he unsettled a bit Jake's car. Anyways,
we'll see if he does that.
As I was saying, these cars are doing like the quarter mile in 9 seconds or less from the standing start. I think even less, probably like 8 seconds. And they are going up to 200 kilometers per hour in like 6 or 7 seconds. So everything happens very quick on the start. If there's a car standing there or that wasn't able to get away quick enough, the ratio of closure is... Really...
Oh, no! Sorry to interrupt, but Boss has spun out.
Ah, yes.
And he's losing all kinds of positions. He's down to 8th now. And I'm going to have to look at a replay here because I just caught it at the very end. Let's see what happens here. Oh, he just had a mistake where he it looks like under acceleration the car just broke away from him. The good news is he didn't hit anything. He almost got hit by Gabriel Del Piccolo, but Gabriel...
But he has a flat tire.
Oh, goodness.
The rear left is flat spot. He has already requested pit stop, and he's crawling his way to the pits.
Oh, that's a terrible situation because...
Yeah, the only good part is that he's not really that far away from the pits, but he must be really careful there. He's really crawling. Oh, whoa. He's spinning there again.
Oh, no. No. Oh, goodness. Well, now we have to wonder if he damaged the wing doing that.
Probably a bit.
Small amount.
I mean, you must go like at crawling speeds. I mean, you can't go even like 20 kilometers per hour. Or...
God, what a frustrating situation. You can see that tire is
the only
down.
lack was that he was close enough to the pits, but that will save him. But Jesus, that was really... I mean, there goes his race.
Yep, basically, yeah, that's it.
Okay, he got new tires and he's out.
But he's going to get lapped by the field at some point here.
Oh, Alan Hackman did not finish meanwhile. We missed it with all the action on the track.
Oh, Simon Watman apparently is off the track. Yeah, he had a bit of an incident at the final chicane, but he's going again. He's running 22nd at the moment. Pascal Mikula is now 9/10 in front of David Jakes.
And Richard Coxon is close enough to Gabriele Del Piccolo to be
yes, he is.
Dave Miller got by some time ago.
So this is going to be interesting because Grant Riddall is not far away, and he seems to be coming at Richard Coxon really quickly here. So this could become a 3-car battle very quickly. In the
and Little Al is now very close to Jacob Fredriksson.
Oh yes, he is. So Little Al is building confidence here in the McLaren, even though he's hasn't had as much practice time as he'd like. Oh, and I believe, there
he goes by.
Jakob Fredriksson off the track. Recovers.
For Little Al now.
Well, we mentioned that it'd probably be a chance of taking advantage of other people's problems along the way, and that's a prime example of that.
Meanwhile, Richard is already attacking Gabriele.
Oh, Simon making room there for the cars, kicking up some dirt, but here comes Coxon down into the final 2 turns before the chicane, and he is right with Del Piccolo, and it looks like he might have a shot here. No, he tucks back in. You can see just ahead of them there is Dave Miller.
But careful, because all this is giving Grant a good chance of getting close. Look
it's
where
true.
he is now.
Yeah, he's waiting right on the doorstep there to see if anything happens. Look at that. Look at the acceleration that he has there. And he's going to pull right alongside. He just flies by Richard Coxon. Now, Coxon has got that Judd V10, which is not an awful motor, but I guess when you have 2 less cylinders, even with the poor weight distribution of the Brabham, I suppose that's something to consider.
I think that the key here is that probably Grant has a lower wing setup. And at the beginning of the race, with all the fuel on board, it was hurting him a bit. But now that the car is lighter, it's starting to get in its real pace.
He's closing now, and Dave... oh, goodness! Very, very close. There might have been a tiny bit of cut. Might have been a bit of...
there.
Yeah. You can see how much he's having to fight the car, too. Grant now in 5th, as he just overtook Richard Coxon. Now he's following Dave Miller, and you can see Del Piccolo just ahead. Great action so far in the San Marino Grand Prix. We hope you're enjoying this on YouTube. Really high-quality driving here. Oh, look at that. Dave Miller looking up the inside, and oh, goodness. I think he's lucky that he got out of that without any trouble because he clipped the curb as he was trying to overtake Del Piccolo.
On the back, meanwhile, Thiago Canola, who is getting more possessions back with his new front wing, just overtook Tim Hille, who is still on track with the...
Oh, Grant Riddall has missed the chicane, and I believe he's going to be giving the position to Coxon. Yes, he is. So a bit of a break for Richard Coxon here, but I'm guessing that Grant's going to be resuming his attack right away. He's right with him.
And even if this is not a tire-eating track, bear in mind that the tires are, as we have explained many times, delicate and need here some managing.
Oh, we saw how delicate they are with the incident that Juha had a little bit ago. So... And Dave Miller still waiting station behind Del Piccolo. This is one of those instances where, I mean, it's always beneficial to have a color commentator, but pit stops are so critical in this series. Having someone keeping an eye on the pit lane at certain points is going to be very critical, so that we don't miss anything.
Whoop! A spin by Jacob Fredriksson.
Oh no!
I don't know. He's not finding his mojo today with this car. There comes David Jones, now getting close to Jacob Fredriksson. He probably saw the spin and he smelled the blood on the water and wants that position, but Jacob seems to have recovered at least for now.
Meanwhile, Richard Wilkes is in 9th place and he's pursuing Brian Janik. This is a Ilmor V10 versus a Ferrari engine. And you can see that there's another car just ahead of this group.
Yeah, that's David Towers holding on to his 7th position. He's doing a discreet race today, but he's very close to the points-paying position. And it wouldn't surprise me if he's able to keep it like that, that he inherits a point at least towards the end of the race, if not something better. And now Gabriele is again in front of Dave Miller, who must have made some kind of error, because he was like 2 seconds in front at some point. And David Jackson is closing again on Pascal.
He is. Pascal's got a lapped car in front of him that he's going to have to deal with. I believe it's Timo.
It is. It's the Lotus, yes.
Not that Thiago... no, sorry, it's Thiago Canola. It's not Timo.
Ah, okay.
Not that Thiago's going to make trouble for him, but you can see how much the car gets unbalanced there as you go over the curbs.
Brian Janik coming there very slow out of the chicane. Richard Wilkes overtook him. Must have been some kind of error. Now he has Little Al right over him. Will he be able to make it? Oh, whoa. He closed the door there and he touched.
Meanwhile, we have a battle for the lead. David Jakes on the outside going into Tosa. He almost had an opportunity to overtake Pascal, but it didn't happen. I think there's a potential here for Thiago's car to be in an awkward position with them. We'll see. how this pans out, but certainly Jakes is looking to take that lead back. Oh, well, there goes that. Tiago gets right out of the way. Now, actually, they're coming up to Timo Vermeer, so there's...
Tim Hille did not finish, meanwhile, with the Colony.
Oh.
Well, that's sad. Not sure what happened to him, but it's a pity. Someone who is brave enough to take on that car voluntarily should be rewarded at least with finishing the race.
Yeah. Heading into... Oh, this is interesting because... Pascal definitely is going to get bottled up here on his way out of the chicane, and this will definitely give David a chance to attack, but here's Pascal accelerating by.
Brandon Vidal went by Richard Coxon meanwhile. We missed it.
Yes, he is. He is by, and meanwhile, Dave Miller is right with Gabriel Del Piccolo.
It's affection on the track right now.
Yeah, lots. Let's see if Dave Miller can overtake here. He's definitely got a good head of steam behind Del Piccolo. No, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it. He would have to do something kamikaze-esque to get it done. Meanwhile, David Jakes still right with Pascal Mikola. Coming through the last corner here. Or, I'm sorry, not the last one. That really tight chicane. Now the left-right whip. Looks like Pascal's doing okay for the moment. Jakes, he's fighting that car in certain situations to keep it going straight. Do you think that has something to do with the weight of that Yamaha engine, or is it something to do with the chassis?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this was a ill-handling car. It was not the best. And I think, if I remember correctly, it was Mark Landell who drove it in real life.
Yes.
And, in that season, yes. And he was saying, well, anything except pretty things about that car. Not obviously this season, when he was still looking for a good chance in Formula 1. But later, he remembered it as one of the worst handling cars he had ever driven.
It's interesting how a team's fortunes can change over the years. Brabham, of course, championship-winning constructor. Changing hands and ownership a few times, but it's amazing how things can change. So Richard Coxon is in 6th, but has dropped back a little bit from... he was overtaken by Grant.
So, and I should say that even if I obviously root for my fellow admin and friend Richard, that I'm very happy to see Grant there being competitive, because he was struggling a bit to get to grips with these cars, and now he has seemed to find the sweet point. Well, you can tell.
So Pascal has a few more cars to overtake here. He's coming up on one of the Benettons. I believe we only have one Benetton in the race?
Yes, the other is Jason Whited, who won't be able to continue in the championship because of real-life commitments. That's a free car for now, and will be going through the entry list in the following weeks.
I see. Well, Pascal is coming up to lap Mick Chapman. More dust and dirt, so there might be some obstacles up ahead. I do not know. It's when you get offline here, you generate a lot of dust, so it's not even a situation of someone leaving the track surface. Sometimes if you're just a little bit offline, that puts up dust on this track.
And there's a bit of debris. There's a wing there. Richard Wicks has hit it. I'm not sure who lost the front wing, but there is a car.
Oh my goodness! Here's the answer. It's Dave Miller. Dave Miller is into the pits. He's lost his front wing. That's bad news. Mrs. Dave will not be happy.
It's lap 19, so with some luck he can put new tires if he had already scheduled a pit stop, and it would work for him. I mean,
he's still
not the end of the world. I mean, anybody who is getting damage in the car now and has to stop for repair, something like the front wing that is quick enough. Well, this is not the worst point that it can happen to you. I mean, in the opening laps, that's a really bad thing. It can destroy your race. But right now, you can live with it.
So that basically puts the Brabham team second and third in the race behind the Tyrrell of Pascal Mikola. So you've got a Tyrrell leading, second and third for Brabham Yamaha Motor Racing Developments, fourth for Scuderia Italia, fifth for Team 7-Up Jordan, and sixth for Leighton House.
And David Sabre dropped to 17th position. That must have been some kind of driving error.
Oh, man.
Because it's too early for pit stops, and that has moved the grid up a bit considerably, because Brian Janik is now in 7th position and Little Ali in 8th. Dave Miller, after his pit stop, is now in 9th position, so...
That's a surprisingly good position considering what had happened.
Yeah, no, not too damaging.
Well, I think it was a combination of not too much damage, and the other part would be that he had the incident close to the pits. That was the other advantage that he had, which is certainly not what happened with Juha earlier when he had his problem with the tire. He was too far away from the pits.
Yeah, well you can still go quicker without a front wheel and with a flat tire. So.
No kidding, yeah. And Little Al is creeping up the field with all this stuff that's been going on. He's up to 8th place now. So he could be looking at a points-paying position before the day is over.
Yeah,
That's
well,
good.
like as I told him, because he was a bit worried of not having had the time to train or anything, I told him, well, you just take it easy, enjoy it, and try to drive safe. And not surprisingly, many times when you do that, you end up having better results than when you're trying, because trying is one of the most damaging things that you can do.
He's following Brian Janik right now, who's 7th in his minority.
Close. At some point, due to an error by Brian Janik, he was nearly about to overtake him, but Brian shut the door on him and was able to then build a bit of a gap. But now Little Al is slowly getting closer. We'll see how that works in the next laps.
Yeah, I think Brian's all the time he put in on the server is paying off because he's driving very smoothly.
David Sabre, let me check that. Oh, he has abandoned. Damage in the car. There's a broken suspension there. Well,
so once again, a very bad race for the Ferrari team. If there are virtual tifosi in the stands, they will be streaming out now. My goodness.
So Richard Coxon now overtook Timo Vermeersch and is trying to be in pursuit of Grant Riddle. Seems that going to traffic, Grant did it better or had better luck, because he built up a bit of a gap there.
Yeah, he does. As they come up to Tosa, you can see that he's got a good cushion now between himself and Richard. But the great equalizer here is going to be the tire stops. It'll be who's been the most generous with their tires, who gives them the most... who abuses them the most and needs to stop earlier. So driving technique may really determine who finishes where at the end of this race, apart from just driving quickly in the course, also babying the car.
And now there's Brian Riddle, recovering positions. He's about to catch up with Timo Vermeersch. Oh, and Gabriel Del Piccolo in front of them had an outrack excursion. He went straight in the chicane, but I think it didn't damage it too much. Rice
seems to be
trying
okay.
to overtake now Timo Vermeersch. That's 4th position, though I think that Timo is aware of the speed differential between cars and won't be trying to block him too much.
Yeah, Ray Riddle trying to climb back up the field, and it must be really disheartening to know that you're way out.
Juha Boss now trying to also overtake Bruno Chacon, and that's 4th position. We haven't talked about Bruno. He's been there all the race. He's the usual constant guy.
Oh, there he
now
goes.
Juha's going in.
Oh, contact. That was awkward.
Juha had a bit the position, but...
And Alcacer slips through as well into 13th. So
it was a bad corner for Bruno where he lost 2 positions.
Rather awkward exchange there. And David Young is soldiering on in 11th place. So he's keeping the car in the track, but he still doesn't look too confident with that car.
Richard Wilkes is already rewarded with a points-paying position. He's in 6th position.
Yep. Driving Gugelman's Leighton House.
Yeah, and having started from very well from the back. Front of him is Gabriele del Piccolo. After some driving errors, he has dropped back a bit. But he's still like 8-9 seconds behind Richard Cox.
Looking backwards now from Pascal Micola's car.
Yes, that's David Jacks all the time, and I think that David is probably at this point trying to think strategically. In that there is probably a pit stop in some laps, and then maybe he thinks that's the point when he will be on the attack. Well, the drivers, the best drivers, the most thinking ones, I mean, not just the quickest. We've seen that. Whoa! David Jacks nearly lost it there.
Be careful,
Brabham
man.
is really wicked. But anyways, I was saying that the best drivers, the most thinking drivers, you can see that very well in the 500 milers in the USAC series. I mean, those guys really go racing past half the race. They never start doing anything foolish or trying to attack or anything unless they are really needing to do it before that. So I would guess that David Jacks is simply trying to keep Pascal Micola in check for now. And when they do the pit stop, he will go racing.
So speaking of the pit stop, we're getting to the point where it's we're 23 laps into the race, starting lap 24. It's a 61 lap race, so in theory, you'd think that they'd be coming into pits around lap 30 or so, if they wanted to split it evenly. On the other hand, it depends on how well the tires are lasting. People may choose to wait a little bit. Who knows? There's lots of variables to consider here. Driver technique, car performance, handling characteristics. You know, it's not a straight up, well, here comes lap 30, so let's look for people to come in. It's not that simple. It appears that we're on course to get this race in before the 2-hour limit without any trouble at all. And that's good to know. That's good to see. Grant is starting to. Well, no, that's not a battle for position. He's behind Tiago, but you can see the awkward situation for Tiago. He's driving at speed, and had he not had that incident on the reconnaissance lap where he lost his front wing, he could very well be competing for a points-paying position right now. But he's in the awkward position of driving as quickly as some of the leaders, but he has to let them by.
And each time Richard tries to get closer to Grant Ridal, he's finding himself in traffic. Now it's Thiago Canola who is third between them. Yeah, well, obviously Thiago is a quality driver and he will make it easy for Richard to pass, but still it breaks your rhythm somehow.
As you mentioned before, this is a very narrow track as he does the very sporting thing and lets Richard by. Oh, goodness. Looked like there was some parts missing there. It's Mick Chapman. Mick Chapman heading for the pit lane.
Well, David Junt is starting to get also on the move and is now putting pressure on Jakob Fredriksson. David's driving the wheels off that Minardi, which is quite ill handling. I told you David has already let me know that his setup was absolute rubbish. He was unhappy, absolutely unhappy with it. Which I guess is what you get if you don't dedicate enough time to this. But anyways, he's already right behind Jakob Fredriksson. And, well, be it in a straight manner or be it sideways, could be passing Jakob very soon.
Oh, look at him, saw it in the wheel there. Oh! David Yunt has spun out. Yellow flag in that section, but it looks like he was saved by... Oh, he's coming into the pit straight away now. He figures now's the time to get tires anyway.
Yeah, he maybe cooked them in that spin.
Yeah. And making a very smart decision, I think, going to the pits for those tires. But
well, that allowed Juha through.
Yes.
Which means that Jakob Fredriksson's miseries are not over. Because he has been fighting that AGS all the race. He was under threat from David John, but now it's Juha that is coming from behind.
as Mick Chapman exits the
yes.
pits. Yeah, Jakob is now up to 10th. Miller, not quite out of it yet. After he lost his front wing into pit, he's still soldiering on, 9th place. So he could yet. I'm still amazed that he got out of the pits in that good a shape. Little Al is in 8th.
And Richard Coxon is in the pits now.
All right, so Coxon is
pit stop.
just finishing his stop.
Yes, he seemed to have some problems with the handling, so maybe his tires were actually shot. We'll see. And
so that was
coming out in fifth position, which is
not bad.
Not bad, no.
No, it's really good. Gabriel Del Piccolo is 4th.
He was able to keep it there.
So the question is, when are the leaders going to come in? Pascal Mikola still leads with David Jakes in 2nd and Grant Riddall, his teammate, in 3rd place.
Well, we saw previously in the Brazil race, and were surprised at it, that Pascal was able to make those tires last way more than we thought. So it seems that the Tyrrell is not exactly the most demanding car on the tires.
Well,
so he could be surprising us here.
And it might have something to do with the weight distribution of the car. It's a V10, it's not a V12. That could have something to do with it, as no one's going for the pits right now, it appears.
He has slowed down a bit now, and David Jacks is closer. But remember, I mean, there are many different combinations of tires, but to simplify, there is now soft, medium, and hards for the race. And what might very well happen here is that you could think at first that, well, look at Dave Jacks coming now. Is he going to?
Oh goodness! Look at this! Oh man, he's definitely he wants to get by, but
yeah, he senses that Pascal has worn tires now.
Mm-hmm.
He has been conserving them. But as I was saying, bear in mind that you could think that the easiest thing here would be to do. So what works for me? The medium tires, fine. Then I do a stop at the middle of the race and put again medium tires. No, that's not the case. It could. Oh,
whoa!
They're airborne.
Pascal Mikola with the Evil Knievel jump at the chicane there. And oh my goodness, that was a bit of miscommunication there. Chapman making room, but I don't think Pascal realized what his plans were until it was almost too late. That could have ended in tears.
Like I said, you don't necessarily split the race in two and put the same tires. You could very well hold on to the lap number 40 and then put softs. Because with less weight, you can get away with it. Less weight and only 20 laps. So, I mean, anything can happen and change towards the end of the race.
So no one going in pits this time. See if David Jakes can slipstream Pascal Mikola. It looks like he's got a good toe.
And I think that Grant is going.
Oh goodness, look at this.
I see the icon.
He's on the inside. Pascal, oh my goodness. Pascal, I don't think, realized how close David was to him there and nearly drove into him. Now they're side by side. There's definite contact there. And David Jakes goes into the lead.
Well, that was the veteran hitting with a fist on the table there.
And look at oh my goodness, there's more contact now.
Was too optimistic.
Oh goodness.
Hopefully he doesn't have any suspension damage, but you never know.
Is that the red mist just like getting the best of you? Is that really what that was all about?
I can tell you, I don't think that Pascal has tires in too good condition at this point.
No, absolutely
Maybe
not.
Maybe just overheated and the tires can last longer. Maybe it's just that. But for sure that car is like a skateboard at this point.
Oh, and David Jakes is just absolutely checked out from Pascal. All it took was for that one small incident in Pascal's history.
I mean, he probably knew that his car was going to get quicker towards the end of the stint. And now let's see what Pascal does.
He's probably going to go for the pits.
No.
Wow, interesting.
I think he's trying to cool down the tires and give them a chance. Maybe he had been overdriving them. Maybe, just maybe. We will see in the next laps. Well, Grant Riddell, I see the icon for him asking for a pit stop, but he's holding on. Let's see what happens now, because his car is moving a lot.
Yes. Grant is heading for the pits. Grant Riddell, our third place driver, into the pits.
Let's see Gabriele. No, Gabriele is ticks on the track, and Gabriele, I think, is one of those drivers that likes to stick to a long-term strategy. He probably is on harder tires.
Great stop for Grant. Not much time lost, and he only drops to 5th place. He accelerates out.
While Little Al is already right behind Brian Janik. Let's see what happens now.
Oh, yes.
Brian just missed there the apex. And we'll see. This is the part of the track where the Honda power should be
very much
more dominant. But I think maybe Little Al has a higher wing setup because he wanted to be on the safe side. So he's getting inch by inch closer to Brian Janik, but there is not a certain part of the track where there is a decisive superiority. Which, of course, very complicated.
Here's Grant in 5th place.
And Richard, who has had his pit stop and is on fresher tires, is now catching up with Gabriele.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Yeah, Gabriele has not stopped yet.
And Pascal is getting close again to Jack. So, yeah, maybe, I mean, he's probably confident about the tire wear out, and he had simply overcooked them, and he was giving them some time to cool down. Which is the great thing about these cars and the physics that Ricardo prepared, and that are very realistic and true to life. I mean, it's like you have a window of opportunity in your tires. You can push them for some laps and try to make it for position, but then you have to back off. And what you do with your driving is pressure the other driver so that he overdrives them, but you try to keep an ace up your sleeve so that you still have some room for the moment when he has cooked his tires and you want to overtake. And everything is so strategic here that, I mean, it's so easy getting lost in all of this.
We saw Juha jump up one position. He passed Jakob Fredriksson, so he's slowly getting his way up through the grid.
I see Pascal's pit stop icon briefly flashing. I'm not sure if he has been requesting the pit stop as a test or what's the case. But
he
we're
may be
on lap
trying
13,
to.
So
he may be trying to locate his pit crew.
Look.
Nope, not coming in yet.
Not coming. Let's see Gabriele, who also has the icon, and Richard Coxon is right behind him. And I guess Gabriele, if he was going to make a pit stop, I mean, this is the moment he should be doing it because he's only losing time on track.
True. So we'll see what happens here as they're coming around.
And this is the moment when you realize that you should have stopped maybe one lap earlier because because you're now just losing the time on track. And Gabriele,
there he goes. Yes, Gabriele Del Piccolo heads for the pits from 3rd place. He will lose that now to Richard Coxon, who goes up to 3rd.
Yeah.
Pascal, Gabriele is down to 5th now. Yeah, I think he did wait one lap too long to make that stop. 6th now for Del Piccolo, so he's basically going to be hoping that other people have either calamities or there's a couple of people who have to make stops in front of him.
And now there's Little Al following Brian Janik, and Little Al, I see, also has the flashing icon. So not sure if he's going to stop on the next one. His tires doesn't seem to be too bad, condition, but well, if he had the pit stop scheduled, then I guess he's going to do it.
Pascal is now having to deal with Timo Vermeersch as he's trying to close again on David Jakes. Coming back around to the pit entrance again. We'll see if... there
goes David Jakes.
Yeah, Jakes is now coming to the pits.
And Pascal is going to stay one lap more. And we'll see what happens now, because this is a bit of a gamble.
It is.
Either Pascal is very sure that he can do now a very quick lap, or he will regret it later, because once he does his pit stop, he will be coming out behind David Jakes. So we'll see. We'll check the Pascal lap time now. For starters, when he started the lap, he was behind the lap car, so that already has hampered his effort a bit.
Interesting, too, that he's now caught up behind Fredriksson and Juha, who are actually battling for position, although Fredriksson lets him by.
Yeah, look at that. Grant Vidal now did the fastest lap.
Well, there you go.
Seems to be comfortable on his tires. David Jacks is back on track now, with a lap behind Juha Boss. And Pascal Mikula seems to be asking for a pit stop.
All right, let's have a look here. He's coming towards the end of his lap, so this will be a very telling moment here. Could be it could determine who is going to win this race.
Yeah, unless he has been able to lap quicker than before, it could very well happen that David Jacks will be in front of him when he comes out of the pit stop. So let's see, he's pressing it there. Yeah, he goes.
Here he comes into the pits. Pascal
and
Mikula.
now let's watch, because David Jacks is now on the back part of the track. Yeah, I think David will come out even if Pascal is quick enough. But there goes David Jacks. He's already on the main straight. Pascal
And,
is starting
goodness.
to move now.
Almost
Pascal
had
is moving. Pascal is moving. Watch that.
Oh, he's out in front. My goodness. Pascal Mikula keeps
But
the lead.
Watch out, because this is not over yet. Pascal
I
is not
know,
at the
but that
optimum
was...
temperature.
Oh, looking from the chopper view, as you see David Jakes pulling alongside and taking the lead again, but here comes... Oh, goodness. I know that in his heart he wanted to try to force the issue on the inside, but Pascal made the right call and tucked in behind. There's still plenty of racing left to go. They're both on fresh tires. Get buckled in for a barn burner to the finish here. As Pascal looks on the inside. Oh, we're looking from the chopper again. Great shot. So now it's going to be a straight up fight between these two to the end. This is going to be fantastic.
Brian Janik now in the pits. And Little Alice in 9th, which I guess is because he did his pit stop before. And now let's see if he comes in front or behind. Brian Janik still in the pits. And Little Al overtakes now Brian Janik, who is coming out from the pits behind him. So Little Al is now in 8th position. I guess because someone who didn't stop is in front of him. That maybe, I don't know, David Miller, who did that very early pit stop.
As they exit the final turn, Pascal seems to give a little bit of room here to David. But this is excellent for our viewing pleasure, because these two are going to lock horns here for the final few laps of the race. Well, we're coming up on... We're on lap 34 now.
And Grant Riddle, watch out.
Oh, Pascal runs off the track and thankfully does not hit anything. My goodness.
Whoa, he was lucky there.
Extremely lucky. And
pay attention now to Grant Riddle, because after the pit stops, it's now Richard Coxon in the 3rd position, and Grant Riddle is coming like a rocket.
Yep.
And, well, this is one of those positions that is... I mean, the last paint point position and the last podium position are, I think, the ones that people fight the hardest for. Well, obviously victory also, but... The right to be on the podium is something that is really motivating. And Grant is eating the distance between Richard Coxon and him.
But it's not easy. As you see, Grant is really sawing at that wheel. Evil handling Brabham.
Oh, Dave Miller did not finish. Wait a moment.
Oh,
no! Yes, what happened there? Let's see. We catch it in the replay. No. I don't.
It's been too long, unfortunately. That's too bad for Dave.
Well, that's the Formula One carousel. One race you win and the other you're not finishing.
True.
Which I guess is quite fitting for poor Nigel Mansell.
Nigel was furious in the actual San Marino Grand Prix because Williams had awful gearbox issues that whole weekend. Okay, but here you see, definitely, he's catching Richard. You can see it visibly. Oh my goodness, look at him pulling Coxon. Oh man, he had to switch sides of the track there. Alongside Coxon now as they come down to Tosa. It's going to be close. Oh, look at that. Coxon hangs on from the outside to keep the position. He's like, you're going to have to work for that. He's just not going to give up that easily.
Beautiful fight between these two.
Excellent. Excellent work. And Mikola's not losing too much ground to Jakes. He's got a ways to make up, but there's still plenty of racing
speaking
left.
Of Jakes, he just overtook David Junt, and look at what we were saying before. I mean, quietly, but there's David Junt in 9th position also. And Juha Boss is right behind him and willing to fight for that 9th position.
Oh, now Grant Riddall is definitely, he's looking closely at Coxon again. We may have another exciting Tosa downshift here coming up. Although Coxon gets a really excellent exit off of that corner. Now through Tamburello.
Well, that Brabham is a straight line rocket.
Look at this.
No,
he's looking for a way around. He's on the outside going into Villeneuve. Oh, onto the grass. Oh, my goodness. Very, very dangerous. And he's on the outside and loses the position again.
A situation awareness from Richard Coxon. I mean,
Oh,
that's
my
a mark
goodness.
of an ace. He saw perfectly how Grant had a wheel on the grass.
Yes.
He knew he was going to overshoot the corner, and look how he absolutely held his corner entry to allow Grant Riddle the room. I mean, there's not many people you can die so close by and even make errors and nothing happening as with people like Richard Coxon. I mean, that was
It's
a
like fighter
masterclass
jets
driving.
flying in formation. That kind of precision. It's amazing. But it's not over yet. Like you mentioned, Grant clearly has the legs to overtake Coxon. It's just the question of timing it properly. And he's making Coxon work harder, so he's probably using his tires more than he'd like. They're coming up to Bruno Chacon now, and as we saw previously, overtaking Chacon in sometimes is a bit of an awkward situation. Here's Exhibit B. Not to denigrate Bruno, but occasionally when he's being overtaken as a lap car, he can sometimes make things awkward. I think it's more a case of him trying to be courteous.
Well, Bruno usually just drives his own race, and that's what you
Yeah.
would expect from a lap car. I mean, he might not be...
Oh, contact! There's contact between Grant and... Oh, my goodness. And yes, Grant is now...
Yeah, that patch of asphalt did help Grant a bit.
But he lost a lot of time there. He slipped way back. My goodness. And the question also has got to be, is there any damage there?
Now Juha seems to have overtaken David Young, finally. And is moving it away, but yeah, like I said, no wonder, because David Young has never been comfortable in the car in all the time. Still, he's a top 10 right now. While Richard Wilkes quietly is shouldering onto the 6th position, he's somewhere in Over's length. He's 16 seconds behind Gabriele Del Piccolo and 15 seconds in front of Little Al. But seems that the distance is in both cases holding on. And Gabriele Del Piccolo, who also was my tip of the race, but I mean, that guy is, I mean, he will have, when this season ends, he will have the number 5 there printed in his head, and a bit like... I don't know. I mean, it's a points-paying position, that's for sure. It's great for his efforts with that car, but wow. I mean, number 5 will be tied in this series forever with Gabriele, I think.
Just like 7th place used to be tied in with Johnny Aces so many times.
Yeah.
So it looks like Jakes has settled into a pretty comfortable rhythm now. He's a little less than 3 seconds in front of Pascal, so the question becomes, can Pascal mount a charge here?
Well, they are both on fresh tires now.
They are.
They are in the same situation as when the race started. The main difference is the fuel load. So it could very well be, David Jacks is a very calculating driver and a master of setting up the car. It could very well be that David has a better setup of the car for the end of the race than Pascal does. We also don't know if they have put the same tires in the car as when they started, because like I said, maybe David Jacks went for a softer component, because even if it's half the race, with the big difference in fuel load weight, it could very well happen that soft tires can withstand the beating for the rest of the race.
Another thing that's worth mentioning here is that the front two cars are both on Pirelli tires. Both the Brabham team and the Tyrrell team are on Pirelli tires. And for that matter, so is the Scuderia Italia team. They're on Pirelli tires as well. So the question I'm building to is there some significant difference between Goodyear and Pirelli in this mod?
Well, the difference exists, though.
Yes.
Bear in mind that the combo of car and tires and compounds is so complex that it's somehow more or less balanced, because you can have their cars that are shot with tires that are maybe not as good in the hard compound, but they are better in the mid compound or the soft compound. So it's complicated to say. I would say that nobody is really hampered just because of the tires.
Because we have other series where that's definitely the case, most notably USAC.
Well,
tires will definitely play a role probably in the 100-mile qualifying races on Sunday of next week, because of the difference in how Goodyears have a consistent wear, and the Firestones, where they have better wear initially, then fall off a cliff.
Yeah, more or less. So Juha Boss is now catching up with Jakob Fredriksson, another one who hasn't been really comfortable with the car all the time. And meanwhile, Pascal scored the fastest lap of the race, so if there was any question about his ability to catch up with David Jacks, I think that's the answer.
Gotta hand it to Juha for
It's
keeping with it.
interesting. Alcocer is trying to unlap himself from Richard Hodgson. But this is one of those complicated situations. We'll see what happens.
Well, I don't know. It's looks to me like Coxon's gonna be able to hold his own.
There is Juha Boss already right behind Jakob Fredriksson.
We have Grant Riddall has gone off the track. Grant Riddall.
Oh my god, and just the commentator's course. As I was saying that Juha was right behind Jakob Fredriksson fighting for position, there he goes on a power slide and hits the wall and loses the front wing.
That's very strange. I'm not sure what happened to Grant, but his car suddenly darted to the the right, as he was braking for Tosa. Something
and
was
Juha
weird.
has again, I think, flat spot tires. This time he hits the front wing. Oh my goodness.
Well, Grant was very lucky they didn't hit the tire barrier. So he's going to be able to continue on, but he's lost
There
positions.
spins Juha again.
Grant's out of the race! Grant has left the race. That's really unfortunate, because he was clearly doing well in this race, and maybe it was just the damage that he had from that one off-course it wasn't an off-course excursion, it was the overtake that he had between himself and Coxon. But that's awful, because it's 3 out of 3 races.
And
he
there's
hasn't
now
finished.
a very dangerous situation there with Juha Boss on the track with a flat spot tire and without front wing, trying to make it to the pits. Little Al is coming now to him. Little Al, who has been able to get to the 6th position now, points paying position, due to Grant abandoning. But Juha Boss is again making the long and painful way to the pits with a flat tire. Oh, Brian Janik is coming close. Hopefully he realizes the rate of closure. Yes, he does.
Well, Juha did a good job to get out of the way there.
Well, I think his car did it for him. He went simply straight on the chicane. Now slow here. Getting for repairs, and with some luck, if it's only the front wing and the flat spot tire, he should be up to speed very soon. But all his effort has been in vain, because he was catching up with Jakob, who is now in that position, and well, Juha could be there, but it was unfortunate. He was too optimistic with the power exiting there, the turn right behind Jakob. So let's see what the race situation is now. David Jacks in front, Pascal Mikula surprisingly enough no less than 17 seconds behind. Oh! Another moderator course. Look at David Jacks.
Oh no! David Jakes has hit the wall. He's out of the race.
What
My
happened
goodness!
there? Oh,
what happened?
He had. Let's see. I think he
What?
had dirty tires.
I don't believe it.
He was
Here's
alone by himself.
Here's the replay. Coming down. Oh, he ran onto the grass, heading to the double left-hander, and he went straight to the tires. Oh, it loses the right rear, both wings, and clearly that's beyond repair. Oh my goodness! But
it was on the power. I think he lost the rear a bit on the braking, and that put him in the grass. And from then on, it was loss of control. Oh.
So what was an incredible race for the Brabham team has turned into a nightmare.
And hang on, because this has propelled Gabriele Del Piccolo to the podium.
Oh yes, Del Piccolo is now third, and Richard Coxon is in second. So
and
it's a
Pascal,
long...
of course, is our leader.
Yes, Pascal back into the lead. So Coxon, and as we have 19 laps to go now, Coxon is definitely not someone that I would count out. But the question is, can he mount a charge on Pascal at this point? I don't know. There's quite a distance between himself and, see, Pascal's already in the Tamburello. Oh, yeah, Pascal's on the grass! Pascal's on the grass! He hits the wall! Pascal's out of the race! No! Unbelievable! What is going on?
I don't know.
What is happening? I don't get the... He just ran clear off the track.
He maybe got into the marbles, or
he might have. That must have been it. There goes Coxon through. Coxon takes the lead of the race. Unbelievable. Let's look at a replay of this. Yeah, I think your analysis is absolutely right. He just clipped the marbles. He comes out right here. You can see he's in the marbles right here, and the car just wants to go straight, and he goes right off into the grass. Can't do anything about it. Amazing.
Oh, I see. He took the corner wrong. I mean, he got a too early apex, and that put him in the marbles when he was going to the outside.
The angle of attack looked weird.
There's no grip whatsoever. Oh, that's really unfortunate, because he was doing such a great race. And I think the same happened to Pascal, to David Jacks. He lost it on the braking.
Wow, so Coxon now inherits the lead. My pick for the race is now in front, and your pick for the race, Del Piccolo, is in second.
It is?
Yep, and Richard Wilkes quietly has made his way up to third by taking advantage of OPP. Other people's problems. And look who's in fourth. Little Al. Little Al's in fourth, and right behind him in fifth is Brian Janik, the Detroit Demon.
Okay, wait a moment, because I think here could be one of the explanations. Because, for example, in the case of Grant, he just told us brake failure. That's what happened.
Oh.
Yeah, if you don't open the brake ducts enough, you could very well get overheating tires, and then at some point they are locking. So, wonder if that was also the case for David Jacks. I don't think so, because he's quite veteran and he knows a lot about the setup. It's difficult to think that he made such a mistake, but I mean, we will have to talk with him after the race. In the case of Pascal, I think it was clearly that small error that brought him into the marbles, which it wasn't actually an error. I mean, in normal circumstances with no marbles, he would have made it through the turn perfectly. But in this situation with the marbles,
well, little Al's got to be grinning from ear to ear right now, because you know, he didn't come into this race expecting too much, and here he is in the top 5. And Richard Wilkes also. I mean, we talked about how uncharacteristic his starting position was, and look at him, he's on the podium, if he can keep it rolling.
Indeed.
Del Piccolo, excellent effort. And let's see what the distance is between him and Coxon as he comes to the line, completing lap number 44 out of 61. Starting 45. The time in scoring says he's 5.45 seconds behind. He's got an excellent cushion on third place, almost 30 seconds. So he doesn't need to worry about being attacked from behind. So the question is, can he close in on Coxon before the race is over?
Okay, hang on, more reactions on the forums. So it was indeed the brakes also for David Yax.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, they were maybe too optimistic with either the brake pressure or the brake ducts, and then Pascal is really, really disgusted with crashing out of the lead. No explanation, but I guess he got either distracted or whatever, got into the marbles. Well, that said, I'm really sorry for him because he was doing a great race.
It looked as if we had a blown engine there a while back. Oh, Juha's off the track. Juha's in 11th place right now, but he's trying to get back on the track. Let's see what happened here.
Jacob Fredriksson has not finished also. Let's see, because with all these happenings, Thiago Canola is now up to 8th position. Victor Alcocer to 7th, and look at that. David Jan.
Oh my goodness.
We were talking about him. There he is in 6th position.
Juha
handling Minardi.
Juha had a contact with the wall, so his bad race continues. Car looks like it's crabbing slightly. I don't know. He's soldiering on here. I mean, I know he doesn't want a DNF, but good grief. I mean, the car is now obviously twisted again.
So that's 12 cars now on half the grid is now on the race. So we're already getting closer to the finish. It's 16 laps to go, I think. And let's see, because I want to check what's the lap times of Gabriele Del Piccolo and Richard Coxon, because they are only 3.7 seconds apart, and it seems to me that the difference is diminishing. Pay attention, because I'm going to lead. Oh, engine, was that? Oh, yes, Jacob Fredriksson. Sorry, I just got
that must have been the black smoke that I saw earlier, and
it was, yes.
Yes, okay.
So let's see. So Gabriele Del Piccolo has done his last laps, 2 laps in 1:31.4 and 1:30.8. And in the case of Richard Coxon, our leader, that's been, pay attention, 1:31.69. That's 0.2 of a second slower, the first one, but 1:31.8, a full second slower than his pursuer in the last lap.
Wow.
And that's been, seems to me, the constant in the last laps, because that's the rhythm that Richard has. Obviously, we all know Richard is a very intelligent driver. We all remember his race at Phoenix when he was playing the rubber band with David Junt, like luring him into hitting his tires to follow him and then speeding up. And there you go. Richard Coxon just did 1:30.9.
So he responds.
He responds, though still not as quick as Gabriele Del Piccolo's quickest lap.
All right, so laps winding down here in San Marino. We'll see. I mean, we've had a lot of great action in this race and some big surprises.
Now is 4 seconds dead, but Gabriele has a visual on him. If you are following now on Gabriele's car, the car you see there going up the hill is Richard Coxon. I mean, can see Richard. The difference is now 3.1 seconds on track in real conditions here in this twisty section. And watch out, because there's still a lot of laps to go.
There is. Yeah.
Gabriel stopped. Remember that Gabriel stopped later than Richard, so he has better tires now, in better condition. Though it's true that Richard in this second stint, even if he repeated the same tires, will not be having as much fuel load on board, so his tires should be able to last much better. But still, barely 3 seconds. I mean, it's not exactly the most comfortable position for Richard now.
No, it is not. So coming up to start lap 48, and you can see there he is. It's a huge carrot for Gabriel, that he can see that red car just ahead of him. 3.3 seconds, so he gained just in that lap almost 7/10 of a second.
Well, they were nearly at that distance apart. And the other one who is closing is, I think, Brian Janik is closing a bit on Little Al. He's getting quicker towards this end of the race. So it's more or less the same distance as between Gabriele Del Piccolo and Richard Coxon, but
David Yunt's probably pretty happy with where he is right now, being in 6th.
Yeah, for someone who was quite unhappy with an ill-handling car and no good setup, this hasn't been that bad.
And Victor Alcacer is in 7th place, just outside the points. And that's a pretty good performance considering the bad luck he's had so far in this championship.
Well, stellar performance of the night must be Thiago Canola, who is shouldering there to
he's
8th
8th
position with a Lotus.
It makes you think about what he could have done if he hadn't had that wing issue on the reconnaissance lap.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
So,
factor in...
attention, Gabriele is now 2.2 seconds behind the leader.
Oh my goodness. Everybody get buckled in because we could be...
Your race tip versus my race tip.
Yes, basically, that's what it is.
But let's not speak up too soon. Oh, Richard Coxon missed the chicane there. Let's not speak up too soon because the commentator's course is too bad to even mention.
I don't believe in that stuff. I'm done believing in the commentator's curse. It's the race is in the hands of these two gentlemen now. I mean, we'll see if Gabriel can overcome the deficiencies in his car. Well, I mean, how would you stack up the Dallara versus the Jordan in terms of capability?
I think they are more or less on pair.
Yeah, take the drivers out of the equation for a moment.
No, I'm meaning just the cars.
Okay.
I think that they were the same tier cars, and it's hard to tell. I think that the Dallara has a slightly better engine but worse chassis, and the Jordan is the opposite, better chassis but not that good of an engine.
That's probably
But
true.
overall, very similar speeds. I don't think that they are really that much apart.
Well, while we have a moment here, I mean, it's going to be a bit before we know if Gabriel is going to be making
2.3, 2.2, yeah, it's
2.2.
getting close. He's certainly getting closer to Richard now.
All right, well, would you like to do the trivia question answer real quick?
Go for it.
All right, the question was, which driver secured or scored the first podium finish of his career in the 1991 San Marino Grand Prix? Was it A, J.J. Lehto, B, Mika Hakkinen, or C, Julian Bailey?
I'd be inclined to say Mika Hakkinen. Sorry, you did say 1991?
1991.
Oh, this year, then Mika Hakkinen is not racing, I think, no? Oh, no, he was racing for Lotus, wasn't he?
I'm not going to give you any...
Okay, I'm going to say Mika Hakkinen anyway, because he's driver. So.
Nope, sorry. The correct answer was J.J. Lehto.
Okay, nearly, because it's
so
another pin.
You're 0 for 3 so far with your... I haven't used the winner bell yet. It's been the wrong buzzer each time. My goodness. All right,
I might still win the tip for the race.
We'll see about that.
Now,
Look at how
Richard
close it is
trending
now,
in
my
the
goodness. Gabriel Del Piccolo in the Jordan 191 is right with our leader. Or wait, is he? Is that... No, that's Ray Radal.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly. That's his overtaking, and now they both were on traffic, and that has hurt first Richard, and now it's hurting a bit Gabriele. We'll see now if he's able to make it, because this is one of the slow section of the track, and this is not going to help him a lot. Timo's going to make room for him now, but yeah, here it's complicated here. Let's see. No, that will be on the straight where Timo will make room, and I think it's actually the wisest decision. Yeah, there he shifts early for that. Look at Gabriele now. Pay attention to this corner, because look how he barely touches the marbles there.
Oh, man.
That's what happened to Pascal on the previous lap. He went too early into the corner, and the exit he was wide, and he was on the marbles. So after all has been said and done, they've been through the traffic area, and it seems to have benefited Richard, because the distance is up to 3 seconds again.
10 laps to go now in this race. And as they say in NASCAR, it's show and tell time. If Del Piccolo's got anything left in the tank to take on Richard Coxon, now's the time.
So Little Al is now 10 seconds behind Richard Wilkes, which is quite interesting. They were 17 seconds apart some laps ago, since he has a bit more of race pace. Richard has lost there some time lapping now, but well, I don't think it will be a danger toward end of the race, but Richard Wilkes better beware if he wants to keep that podium position.
All right, so coming around now, let's see what the interval is, because they've both been driving in clear air without any traffic for 1 lap apiece. Coming out of the corner now, ready to hit the strike. Let's see what he's got. 3.4 seconds, so he gained about 4/10 on that lap.
I think that Richard is speeding up a bit now. And
He's responding.
Because of his cool nature, I think that he will try to keep a steady rhythm and save the best for the end of the race. I mean, we could see him. He's able to make a good change in rhythm, which is the mark of the great drivers. And if I'm not mistaken, that's his last ace up the sleeve to try to defend his position, to make a big change of rhythm. He's preserving the tires. But Gabriele, man, he's really coming close. He's now 2.5 seconds. I mean, in just... Oh, Bruno Chacon is there without front wing?
Oh, goodness, that's kind of awkward. Well, thankfully, Del Piccolo arrived there at a pretty fortuitous time, so it's not a problem. But, yeah, it's unfortunate for Bruno. Another late race issue for him.
Vitalal now under 10 seconds. Distance with Richard Wilkes.
So he may be able to get it done.
It's diminishing quickly. What's up with Richard Wilkes? Let me see. He seems to be going a bit slower now. I don't know. Maybe he has brake problems or tires are shot. Anyways. Well, it should suffice for him to save this position, but he must not be the happiest man right now.
2.9 seconds now between first and second place.
Eight
an
seconds
incredible
between Richard. I mean, the distance between Richard and Little Al is diminishing very quickly. Not sure what's going on here, if Richard's tires are shot or whatever, but man, I mean, this is to give you a heartache. 9 laps from the finish, having someone there putting that pressure on you. 2.2, 2.1, 2.0 in this braking area. Whatever the result, I'm pretty sure that all the top 5 are really enjoying their lives now. No, I mean, this is what racing is all about, and this is the fun that we all come here for, obviously.
Well, hopefully everyone's enjoying this on YouTube. It's been a hair-raising race in certain instances, lots of surprises, lots of good straight-up fighting. Makes me wonder what we're going to see when we go to Monaco.
Oh, there will be a carnage.
I'm sure it's going to be a demo derby, but we'll see. Coming by now, starting lap 54, out of 61. 2.4 seconds, so he's closing. The question is it quick enough? And catching is one thing, passing is another.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and Richard will for sure have still some hands stored there carefully for the moment when Gabriele arrives.
Little Al soldiering on in 4th place, trying to catch Richard Wilkes before the end of the race. What's your analysis of Mr. Wilkes' times telling you?
Well, he's obviously going slower than Little Al, and besides some small error here or there and some difficulties lapping a car that I've seen. I'm looking at the top speeds and all that, but I would gather that simply his tires have a lot of wear by now. He's 7 seconds in front, and I mean, the end of the race can come too soon for him. It's now, look at that, it's now under 7 seconds.
Wow.
Obviously, I mean, in the quickest part of the track, the Honda engine is going to have the legs there. Now it's more or less holding on, but
2 seconds dead now between Gabriele Del Piccolo in second and Richard Coxon in first.
actually 1.5 at this part of the track. That's what I'm seeing. 1.4. Whoa.
My goodness. Oh, there's Bruno again. This time with a front wing.
Yeah, because he was obviously, I mean, lapped the game very quickly. They found him again when they go around the track because he had been pitting. 1.3 seconds. Oh, Richard Coxon in the center.
No. Well, he didn't lose much time there if he was in the sand.
No, that's weird. I mean, maybe Gabriele, it was right at the moment when Gabriele lost there a bit of time. Yeah, Richard Wilkes is doing lap times that are like 0.6 of a second off his best.
Wow. So his tires may be shot, or maybe it's a brake issue, who knows?
Could be the difference, the distance with Little Al has gone up a bit now. So maybe there was a driving error from Little Al. But whatever the case, is certainly not comfortable for Wilkes, I'm sure. And another lap. This must be frustrating for Gabriele because
a little more,
he was 1.5 seconds behind, and I mean, this is for him obviously, so to speak, a home Grand Prix.
It is, that's true. So he actually lost some time on that lap, even though Coxon had a problem at the chicane.
Yeah, but he had the cool to keep it. Now, I think there was a driving error by Wilkes because Little Al is only 4 seconds behind him.
My goodness. All right, well, this is going to be difficult to cover because we've got two close battles towards the finish here.
Well,
with
we
just
will stick
5
with
laps
the
to
one that
go.
is closer at every moment, and that's the lead now. But we'll keep an eye on the other one.
Mm-hmm.
That's now 5 laps to go. So it's going to be...
Oh no! Del Piccolo has gone off at the chicane! My goodness, he's hit the wall and the car's stopped!
No!
It's stalled! The engine's off! Oh my goodness!
He must be pulling his hair now.
Oh my goodness, it's too bad. I can't believe it. Let's look at the replay of what happened here. Brake fade. It looks like brake fade. And he just runs a bit wide and then hits the barrier. Lost his front wing, and it looks like the engine shut off. That's a horrible way to end the race for Del Piccolo, who had such a good drive going. Oh, goodness. He's just sitting there. I know what he's doing. He's hitting the button repeatedly, trying to get the engine to fire, but it won't. Whatever happened there with that impact affected the engine as well. And he hits escape. He's out. And that means that Little Al is looking at a podium finish. There he is. Little Al's now officially in 3rd place.
And Wilkes in 2nd, starting from, I think it was 18th position?
Incredible.
Incredible, yeah.
It just goes to show you that nothing is a guarantee.
Move also Victor Alcocer to the points per possession, 6.
Yeah, Janik is 4th.
Junt to the 5th
Junt
position.
is 5th, and Victor Alcocer will be moving up to 6th momentarily. Still shown as 7th, but as soon as he comes by the garage area, the scoring will update him to 6th place. So great drive for Alcocer, and a bit of silver lining for the Tyrrell team, who had a good day going, but then it all came for nothing with the accident that Pascal had. God, this race has just been a wild one. Just when you think that things are settled, it all gets turned butt over tea kettle. So is Alcacer, he's still in 7th, but he's going to be 6th in just a minute here. That's really too bad for Del Piccolo, I gotta say.
It is.
But little Al right now is probably just thrilled beyond belief
Well,
with his
if
good
I know
fortune.
him, he's cursing his lack of not being able to catch up with Richard Wilkes.
Still, I mean, it's a great drive considering the time constraints he had on him this past week. So the gap now to the lead is a minute between Wilkes and Coxon. So all Coxon has to do is keep going.
And for the record, we have 10 cars on track.
Okay.
And that's the exact number that finished the real race.
It was a high attrition race in 91, that's true.
It was, and then, well, considering that 26 started versus 24 here, we even have a better finishing rate.
30 minutes left on the clock and change, so we're definitely going to get this one in without the time limit being imposed. Yeah, Wilkes, excellent drive for him.
Oh, and Junt and Brian Janik will be fighting it out till the end.
Ooh, this is interesting. A little intramural team battle here for the Minardi team. This ought to give them a nice shot in the arm, too, in the constructor standings, having both of them in the points. Because if I look at the constructor standings currently, they are in 3rd with 9 points. So this is definitely, and Williams isn't going to score in this race, so that's certainly going to put them in contention with Scuderia Italia, who it appears are going to come away with another 10 points. But yeah, look at this. Janik now is in a position of having to defend himself from his own teammate. So, well, the Italian fans now have something to cheer about. It's not Ferraris in chassis form, but at least in terms of the engine, as Bruno wisely moves over to make way for the team battle that's going on.
Poor Bruno has been, I think, in this race, he has been somehow like unfocused or out of place or whatever you want to call it. But
here comes David. Oh my goodness! Oh, whoa! What's your take on that right there?
It's not finished yet.
It's not, and Yunt gets it done, but I don't know that was some pretty aggressive defensive driving there.
Oh, and Little Al is also tantalizingly close to Wilkes. 3 seconds and something behind. Look at that. Wilkes will be lucky to only have 2 laps more. And
well, Yunt is now
more time now with a lapped car, so
I know that Brian is really anxious to get that position back, but oh goodness, it looks like he made a slight error there. He did. Still in close contact with. But my goodness, that was a pretty contentious moment between the two Minardis. Giancarlo Minardi was pulling his hair out in the garage, watching that one.
Little Al has spun on the straight.
Oh my goodness, he has.
Oh no!
Oh no! Oh no! That's terrible! No!
Oh no! I can't believe that.
He lost his front wheel. He's out of the race.
I think he flat spotted the tire at some point.
This is going to promote Victor Alcacer to 5th place in the Tyrrell. And hold on to your hats, because look who's going to score a point. After all the problems he had, the one big problem on the recon lap, Tiago Canola eventually will be elevated into the points. Unbelievable.
So Little Al did a small spin, but it seems it was a minor spin under power slide, but it seems that it was enough to flat spot the tire. And oh Jesus, I can't believe that.
Well, there's a lot of people tonight whose egos are going to be severely bruised. So Little Al's going to have good company. But man, this has been a sobering race for several people. David Yunt in third place, now putting a little bit of a cushion between himself and Janik. I think Yunt just has a better car at this stage in terms of tires, and that's the difference. All right, so we are now in the final lap of what has been a very interesting and very crazy San Marino Grand Prix as Richard Coxon goes through the last two corners before the final chicane. Coming around now. Well, I picked him at the top of the race to win, but I didn't think he'd be winning under these circumstances necessarily. So he comes through the final chicane. And up to the line. And there's the checkered flag. Richard Coxon wins the San Marino Grand Prix for Scuderia Italia. An excellent drive, the kind of drive we've come to expect from Richard. Yes. Great drive. Meanwhile, here comes Richard Wilkes. He's got a long ways to go, actually. He's like half a lap behind Coxon. So while Richard is slowing down, Mr. Wilkes is still going. Great drive for him after not having the greatest of qualifying efforts. Hangs a left, then another left. Now he's just got to do the chicane, and he'll be home. And after all the drama that Ray Riddall had, it looks like he's going to finish in the top 10, but like 8th. So another indication of what he can do if the circumstances are right.
Actually 7th, because...
7th, wow. Oh, that's right, yes. Yeah. Just outside the points. So second for Richard Wilkes. Here comes David Yunt in third. I don't see... Oh, there's Janik. So David Yunt finishes in third. Brian Janik will finish in fourth. So good day for the Minardi team. And Victor Alcacer is nursing his Tyrrell to the line in 5th place. A very good result for Victor. After 2 disappointing rounds. If he could just get through this... Oh my goodness, he's taking it very slow. What's going on? Oh, he spins! What is going on? Victor Alcacer spins out on the final lap. Putting all kinds of...
I think he has a flat spot tire.
Oh no! This is incredible! He could lose his points-paying position if he's not careful. The race is over for other people, but not for him.
As long as he doesn't stall the engine, he should be able to crawl to the finish line.
Yeah, but the person who's going to benefit from this potentially, my goodness, there goes Tiago. Tiago in 6th place. Victor's in 5th. He's backing up now, trying to get the car going the right way. Here are cars coming around going, what in the world is going on here? Is Victor even going to be able to take the car around? It looks like he might have stalled the engine. Tiago's in 6th. And it looks like he's potentially going to go up into 5th here. Victor Alcacer has left the track. So the question now is, can Tiago catch him on just forward progress to the line? We'll have to keep a close eye here. 7th place is Little Al. Tiago's still being scored in 6th. As they come to the line here, we'll pay close attention to the number next to his name and see if it changes. He's going clear into the garage. That's interesting. So maybe it was these guys were a lap down. So yeah, Victor, maybe they had already crossed the line and we just didn't notice it.
Yeah, I think they are all scored.
Okay, well, Victor then takes his 5th place, thank goodness. Tiago, who is having a little party of his own in the pit lane, is 6th. Little Al finishes in 7th place, obviously very disappointed. Ray Riddall, 8th. Timo Vermeersch in 9th. 10th for Del Piccolo. 11th for Bruno Chacon. 12th, Juha Boss. 13th, Jakob Fredriksson. 14th, Pascal Mikkola. These are all retirements. 15th, David Jakes. 16th, Grant Riddall. 17th, Dave Miller. 18th, Mick Chapman. 19th, David Saber. 20th, Tim Hille. 21st, Simon Watman. 22nd, Adam Hackman. 23rd is Mike Olson. And the last car Anders Nilsson.
All right, that was it, and we have some drivers in the green room waiting.
All right, so let's get to the post-race interviews.
User was moved to your channel.
We're joined now by the winner of the race, Richard Coxon. Richard, congratulations on winning the San Marino Grand Prix. Excellent drive, obviously taking advantage of other people's problems, but you had a late race challenge there from Del Piccolo. Walk us through the last few laps of the race.
Nervous. Hard. I knew it was just so much quicker on the straights. If it had got behind me, it'd have been game over. Really, really tough that last. Well, it was a tough race all round. The tyres wore a lot more than I expected, for me anyway. But just glad to bring it
What
home.
was your choice of tires, Richard, for the race?
Super softs.
All the time, both stops, of course.
Yeah. I went with the early stop because I was in traffic and I thought I need to get some clean space. And I did that. It brought me out in front of Grant. There were a bit of contact between us and he went into the grass. Then I saw he'd retired a few laps later. So I don't know if that's a direct result of me. So if it is, sorry, Grant. But just happy to finish.
Well, congratulations on a great drive.
User was moved to your channel.
And we're joined now by the second place finisher, Richard Wilkes. Richard, congratulations. After a qualifying session that was not probably the best, you came through and had a very, very good drive. You must be very happy with this result.
Thank you, Jonathan. Jason, I mean.
Jonathan!
Yes. Sorry. Yes, this shows how tired I am after this. Yes, it's the best result I could hope for, I think. A lot of people, I had a feeling a lot of people wouldn't last the race because it's very hard to keep focused, especially when the tires are going down. Yeah, unfortunately, my qualifying wasn't the best. I only did one time lap and then I had a runoff with Juha and I couldn't try any more laps. Probably my fault because I came in late. But my car, I knew I had a good car with the fuel full tank, and I tried to make the best of it in the beginning, because as it turned out, it wasn't so good when the tank was empty, and it seemed easy to finish the race, but I was having quite a lot of trouble keeping the car on the road and keeping focus in the end. And fortunately, I only had to bring it to the line to get a second place.
All right, so who else do we have in the green room? Oh, we have...
User was moved to your channel.
Well...
Oh, this is... Hello, Gabrielle. Sorry if I grabbed you mid-conversation, but sorry about what happened towards the end there. We were very intently watching, thinking we were going to be treated to a really good battle with Mr. Coxon, but unfortunately, what did you in?
Probably I locked too much my brakes.
Okay.
So the car spun out on Rivazza. And also my foot doesn't work at all. So braking was a little problem. So I thought to catch him in less time. But back markers were always a problem for me because I have less downforce on my car. Mm-hmm. Probably you noticed that I was very fast on a straight line, but a little bit not very comfortable on the corners.
Well, Alberto was quick to point out in the warm-up that you were the fastest car. So
yeah, but I practice with 100 liters. Yes, I know, but I want to set my car, not set my car, but to improve my car with half tank fuel, because
you were thinking of the last part of the race, right?
Exactly,
of making it go
exactly.
quick in the last part of the race. That's what you wanted.
Exactly.
It worked.
From
Yeah.
the pit
What
stop to the
tires
finish,
did you
yes.
use in both stints?
What?
What tires did you use in each stint?
First half, C on front and D on back, and the second half of the race completely D compound. I think was the right one.
Okay, the super softs then for you.
Yeah, yeah.
The last part, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the
I don't know how it's happened about Dave Jakes and Pascal Nicola.
well, David Jakes had a brake issue, and
okay.
and Pascal Mikola got into the marbles and had an accident. So, yeah, it was an unfortunate race for a number of people towards the end. So the race changed complexion quite a lot throughout, but you definitely seem to have a good handle on the Jordan. So I think that bodes well for upcoming races. I think the big takeaway for this race, Alberto, is that not only are tires something you have to look after, but brakes.
Yes,
and
brakes are really the problem. We have to longer the point of brake because the brakes are gone, completely gone. So I open all the brake duct, but brakes are very, very, very done completely.
All right. Well, nobody else left in the green room, so before we close out the broadcast, any final thoughts from Alberto about this race?
Well, it wasn't. I mean, in the end, we got at the top someone we somehow expected, but man, all the rest of things that happened, they were really unexpected. I didn't expect David Jakes to go out with a brakes problem, considering all his mastership when it comes to setups. And well, it goes on to show how unpredictable these races are with all that's going on and how quick everything happens here in Formula One. But then again, that's Formula One.
All right, so before we close out the broadcast, let's remind you of what's coming up on for the International Sim Racing Organization. This Wednesday, we go back Tin Top Racing, 1997 ASTC, and this is the Calder Park Raceway for rounds 5 and 6 of 16. That's February the 12th, Wednesday. Next Sunday, the California 500 qualifying heats, or qualification heats, I should say. This is round 2 of 13. February the 16th, Sunday. First heat is at 2000 hours CET. And then the following Sunday, the first jewel in the USAC Triple Crown, the California 500. So I want to thank my broadcast partner, Alberto, for joining me in the booth. And, of course, thank all of you at home for watching. We will definitely be seeing you on our next broadcast. Once again, the winner of the San Marino Grand Prix is Richard Coxon. This is Jason White saying so long from San Marino.